Hi, welcome to season 3 of Legal Tech Briefs. We are going to keep this season short and sharp, talking about folks who are transforming the world of law. I am Carly Levin with the Legal Tech Fund. I'm a partner focused on strategic initiatives. And I am very excited because for our first guest on season 3, we've got Trish Rich from Holland Knight, who is really leading the way on the transformation with MSO and ABS structures in her role as a legal ethicist at Holland Knight. I'll let her dive into more on how she spends her time. She will also be the incoming chair of the Chicago Bar starting in June. So congratulations on that role.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in.
Well, thank you for having me. It's really nice to be here with you guys. I was a brand new Legal Tech Fund Summit participant this last year down in Austin, and it was incredible. So I was really glad to hear from you guys, and I'm glad to be here.
It was standing room only in your session and only heard rave reviews.
Oh, thank you. It is. We are having a bit of a weird moment on the legal ethics world. I've never had a presentation where people literally were standing up, but yeah, here we are. So it was exciting. It's a really neat time as we talk about the way the profession is transitioning and transforming. And yeah, I'm just really glad to be in the mix.
One thing I thought was really interesting about folks I spoke to who attended your session were it was a wide range. Some people had never heard of an MSO or ABS structure before. Some are drinking the Kool-Aid. They are experts and working on deals. So for those who are listening who are new and have never heard these terms before, perhaps could you ground us in what we're talking about today?
Sure. ABSs and MSOs are different things. That's an important thing to remember. An ABS is an alternative business structure that's allowed in Arizona, now Puerto Rico, which is brand new, and we see some movement potentially in some other states that may loosen the regulations and allow for ABSs. We're not sure where that's going quite yet. I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did. But ABSs really function, especially particularly in Arizona, because Arizona has eliminated Rule 5.4. Rule 5.4 in our regulations is the rule that tells lawyers, a number of things, but importantly, chief among them for our purposes today. Number one, we can't have non-lawyers, a word I don't particularly like, but is scattered all throughout the rules. We can't have non-lawyers controlling or owning lawyers or law firms or their practices. And then the second thing is we can't fee split with non-lawyers. And so an ABS in Arizona works because 5.4 doesn't exist. They've just vacated that rule. You go to the Arizona Rules of Professional Conduct, it just says reserved, it's just not there. And so in Arizona, you can have a non-lawyer own and participate in the ownership and management of a law firm in a way that's different than anywhere else. Now, Puerto Rico hasn't just hasn't just eliminated Rule 5.4. It's scaled it back significantly and altered it, but Arizona just deleted it off the books, right? And so an ABS is just, I mean, the simplest definition of it is that an ABS is a law firm that has at least one owner who's not a lawyer. Easy. An MSO is a management service organization. You'll also hear, my friend Lucian Pera has often referred to these as two company models. There are some people call them legal service organizations, LSOs. You'll hear that term. But what those are independent management companies that manage the administrative and business functions of a law firm. So think about it as a business that sits parallel to the law firm and supports the law firm in a close partnership. An MSO can be done anywhere because it doesn't work in the absence of 5.4, but rather within the boundaries of Rule 5.4. And that causes some interesting tensions between the MSO and the law firm because the MSO, while it's in a close partnership with the law firm and it's supporting the law firm, it works again within 5.4. So it cannot own or control the lawyers of the law firm, and it cannot get paid in a way that would be a fee split. So um, that's the basic difference. The other thing about the MSO, of course, is because it's not a law firm, it can really be owned by anybody, including lawyers, but also non lawyers.
These concepts have been around for a while. Why is the heat picking up in 2025, 2026? What do you think has changed at this moment?
um, these concepts have been around for a while. A lot of people in the industry right now are talking about MSOs as a new thing. They've been in the legal profession for at least 2 decades. My team has been setting them up for a lot longer than the last 6 months. The earliest iterations of those were often just used for succession planning. I won't get into that today because I know we're making the season sharp and quick. But for a much longer discussion. The history of how MSOs have evolved is really quite interesting. But I think in ABSs have now been around for about 5 years. What I kind of think, my own suspicion is that ABS is sort of got people thinking about possibilities about the way that we could invest capital, technology, interest in the profession. In ways that had previously been closed off. And MSOs allow for more flexibility because, first of all, you can do them anywhere. Um, and second of all, it allows business to come in and do the things business is pretty good at. And it also frees lawyers up to really focus on the practice of law, which is the thing lawyers are good at. So on top of that, you add some external factors, right? KPMG obviously opening a law firm in Arizona got a ton of press. We have just other, Burford obviously coming out and saying that they want to, think about taking stakes in law firm investments, and all of these other things happening just really kicked up a real interest in this in the latter half of 2025, and that is not slowing down. We're going into 2026 with a roar for sure.
And is it law firms of all sizes that are coming to you? Is it a certain type of law firm? What are you seeing most?
Yeah, right now, my team is working in about 50 different deals, 50. Yeah, it's a lot, especially for a litigator like me, who's not a deal lawyer. Um, but those run the gamut. They're all different sizes of law firms, some very large law firms, AmLaw 100 kinds of firms, and then others that are, I think the smallest one we worked on was like 6 or 8 lawyers. And so they really run the gamut, and different firms are looking at doing an MSO structure for different reasons. And that's like a really important thing for them to think about. Like, if you had a capital investment in your firm, what would you do with it? If the answer is, I'm just going to put it in the savings account and not think about it, this maybe might not be for you. Like, it really helps, I think, if you have an idea of what you would do with the extra money if it came into your firm and it wasn't closely tied to lawyer time and lawyer compensation. But yeah, so we're seeing, like I said, we have about 50 different transactions in various stages right now. Some smaller law firms, some very large firms. About 2/3 or so, maybe less than 2/3 at this point, are really consumer facing kinds of law firms. Think Social Security Disability or plaintiff's personal injury, those kinds of firms. And then about 1/3 is every single other thing you can possibly think of. Boutique corporate firms, trust and estates firms, a number of firms that are really very interested in doing AI based law firms. Some big law firms, everything in between. So it's a really interesting time. We're getting more firms coming to us and saying, this isn't something we were particularly interested in, but we know you're talking to our competitors, so we need to at least start having these conversations. And that's, I think, probably right. Anytime in a world like the legal world, anytime your competitors are doing something to gain a competitive advantage, or that they think will gain a competitive advantage, you're smart to be wondering what that is and researching it on your own.
When the firms come to you, what is the biggest misconception that you wish you could correct? Let's correct it right here, right now.
um, one thing I hear a lot from lawyers is I'm interested in it. And I mean, I could almost write this down on a card and just hold it up. I'm interested in it, but I don't want anybody coming in here and telling me what to do. And I totally understand that. I mean, part of the reason I think lawyers go into the law is, there's a few threads. Number one, we all came here because we wanted to help people. Um, Number two, law firms are not really corporate America. It's not like we're not walking in here and punching clocks and like nobody's coming in here and telling us how to like run our cases. And we have like a fairly, I think, wide independent streak. And that's, I think, really important. And I think that's one thing lawyers in this moment are worried about. But because the profession has these two ethical pillars that are really important here, these guys, if you have an MSO investor that cannot come in and control you, your law firm or the practice of law, I think that fear is a little bit overblown. And I also think I think there's a big education hump we have to sort of get over in this moment where people don't really quite understand how these will function on the ground.
It will be interesting to see as there's more education, more learning, how firms come along and learn more.
Absolutely. It's going to be an exciting time. It's going to be an interesting time. 2026 will be a big year in legal investments, and we're excited about it. We're excited to see how it goes for people.
And then I know there are lots of reasons for doing this. If I'm a law firm sitting here today, should I be thinking about an MSO because I want to grow, because I want to get better talent, because I want specialization? What are the best priorities you've heard?
Oh, all of those things, right? A lawyer, just take, excuse me, take any law firm. You have a lawyer who bills an hour on a case, right? The law firm's revenue is lawyer time, right? We're not, for the most part, that's not true of every law firm, but for the most part, the revenue of a law firm is the time of its lawyers. And if you have a lawyer that bills an hour for that time or works on a case for that time, that lawyer is expecting to be compensated for it. So the relationship between the revenue and the lawyer's comp is so closely tied to each other, it doesn't usually leave most law firms with lots and lots of extra capital at the end of the year to invest in other places. So the question for any law firm is, if you had $1 million, $100 million, $1 billion, whatever the number is for your firm, right? Sitting there, what would you do with it? If it was unencumbered from the time of your lawyers and nobody was expecting it to come out in comp, what would you do with that money? Answer is going to be different for every law firm, but lots of things we're seeing on the ground are investing in AI, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You could invest in, tech stack. I strongly suspect we're going to see a ton of that money go into lateral acquisitions of lawyers and teams. If you are a law firm and you can just, afford to pay, 10% more, 5% more, 2% more, whatever your ratio is, then another firm can afford to pay. You're going to be able to make more attractive offers to laterals. All sorts of things. You could, retire pension plans. You could, you could have that for a rainy day fund for emergencies. I mean, we saw, for example, the COVID outbreak, back in 2019, 2020, and law firms were, in a tough spot then. A lot of people were, and we got through it, I think better than people expected in the beginning. But we to have had, for example, a savings account like you or I have in our own houses, for a law firm, would be a really powerful thing for a lot of places. So it's been, we're going to see law firms deploy capital in all sorts of different kinds of ways. It's just that the capital they're going to be getting in as part of these transactions is not going to be so closely tied to compensating their lawyers, because it won't be money they earned on lawyer time.
Yeah, we've heard all of those as we've been talking to firms. The other ones I thought were really interesting because we're the legal tech fund. We always expect AI and technology and tech stack to be top of the list. But it's been interesting to hear that culture, investing in culture and having a great firm culture to attract talent has been top of some firms' list. And marketing has also been a really important one that we've heard, just having the ability to invest in marketing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've been practicing law for about 20 years. And I have heard, even in that time, a lot of people say, lawyers say, this is not a business, this is a profession. I'm sure you've heard people say that too, right? I just completely disagree. It is a profession, but man, is it a business. And so for the law firms out there that think like, I don't have to market, or I don't have to worry about scaling, or I don't have to worry about profit margins, you might not be thinking about that. Yeah. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't be worrying about it. And law firms, I think, are entering an era where they are going to be thinking about themselves a little more like businesses rather than how we may have historically thought of law firms.
You have given us so much advice during this. I have many takeaways, but any additional pieces of advice that you would give to folks who want to learn more?
I think there's not a ton out there to read on this, although that's changing rapidly. But I think if people can just spend some time educating themselves, I think there is a bit of lawyers tend to, I think, be resistant to change in the way that the profession is regulated and the way that the profession operates on the ground. And I think that. Having a little bit of an open mind as you walk into the process of just trying to understand how these work would be helpful, because I think there's some misinformation and some misunderstanding going on about these right now. And I hope that as we start seeing some MSO law firm partnerships get off the ground and be successful, visibly successful, publicly successful, I kind of hope that will change. But we'll see, right? Our lawyers are famously Luddites, and hopefully, some people will be able to see that there is actually some benefits to this. And then, of course, the flip side is, for the people in the world that believe ABSs are a bad thing or MSOs are a bad thing, the good news is nobody has to do it, right? If you do not want your law firm to have a partnership with an MSO, or you do not want your law firm to be an ABS, nobody's forcing you to do that. But for some lawyers and some law firms, this will be a really interesting, fun, different path forward as we continue to regulate the profession, but really explore what the business of law means.
That is incredibly helpful. I will add to the volume of content is going up. I open a tab every time I see an article on the space, and I feel like the volume of those tabs keeps growing every day. So there will be plenty to learn in the coming weeks and years.
Well, yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm always willing to talk to anybody about this. So if anybody wants to reach out to me, I'm not very particularly hard to find.
And we can also share, you've written some great articles, so we can share those as well when we post this.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you. Thank you for coming on today.
Thanks for having me.